Oh no.
First tip I'm gonna give you is when you go on someone else's boat, don't lay your rods on top of the nets.
Charlie. That's a nice one.
Yeah, decent fish.
Oh, sketchy.
I'll just hoist it.
Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're gonna be hopping in the boat with Donnie O'Bert. He's got a bunch of really good jig fishing tips that'll help you catch more walleyes this year. And this first tip that he's gonna share is especially true and important when you're vertical fishing down below the boat, which Donnie does a lot of. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
Every time I send a jig out, I make sure that it's hanging. I'm gonna go right on the back deck there. I make sure that it's hanging horizontally, right? So in nature, leeches and minnows, they very rarely hang vertical like this. They hang horizontal. So a lot of times your knot can slide in the knot, in the eyelet there. And I'll show you what I mean by this. Got another beautiful, just a chunk. Get the sun on her. Arr. So a lot of times after you catch a fish, your knot will be vertical like that. So your bait, your presentation is going to hang vertical. So every time I send it out, I'll take and slide my knot and tighten it back up to make sure that my bait's hanging horizontal in the water column. Minnows very rarely hang vertical. Leeches don't hang vertical, right? So you want that presentation to look as natural as possible. And maybe there's a better knot to tie that I don't know that won't slide, but I just adjust it every time I send it out, and that actually has made a pretty big difference in hookup ratios.
We had a really fun day on the water with Donnie. We probably caught right around 40 fish or so. But obviously we're not gonna be able to fit all those fish into this one video right here. So you're gonna be seeing some of the better fish and then also some of Donnie's better tips. But we caught the vast majority of the fish on Northland's tungsten jig, both 1/4 ounce and 1/8 ounce. We were using some live bait. You can't just take bait from the United States and bring it up into Canada. We were fishing Canadian waters, so understanding the hoops that you have to jump through to use live bait is very important. So specifically what we had to do is we actually had to go into Canada and buy them from a Canadian bait shop and just understand all the things that you need to do to use bait legally. So if you're gonna be heading up north, just make sure you understand the regulations before you just go willy-nilly across the border. But we also caught a bunch of fish on plastics as well. The eye candy grub has been Donnie's go-to when he's using plastics, just because it's just a good finesse presentation. It imitates a leech, it could imitate a minnow. This one right here is kind of the gray with the darker back. That's a great minnow imitator. So that's kind of a little look at the presentation. And now Donnie is gonna change gears and share some of his advice on location this time of year.
I get asked a lot, whether it's at the landing or through social media. You know, after I've had a good day, a lot of guys want, or fishermen, anglers want to focus on what depth, how deep were you, how deep were you, how deep were you, and you know, really, I don't have a specific depth. I trust my electronics, right? So I scan until I see fish, and then I fish them where they are. If you go out with a preconceived notion as to, well, Donnie said 18 to 21. Don't worry, Charlie, I'll get the net. Hey. If you go out with a preconceived depth of where fish might be, you may focus all your time and energy where fish aren't, right? So, oh, another good looking specimen there. Just golden loins. Beautiful. Let's send her home. God, can you believe how girthy these fish are?
Yeah, they're chunkers.
Just chunkers. Yeah. So as far as walleye locations, you know, we're starting to see midsummer patterns develop here. And that will be fish either pushing off of reefs into a little bit deeper mud, or just the exact opposite and fish pushing up shallow wherever wind is driving into the shoreline. So right now we're fishing a long, skinny underwater point that the wind is blowing up onto. If Nick wants to take a peek at my graph there's a long point here with a flat on it that's fast access to deep water all the way around it. And you can see by my waypoints, I've been fishing walleyes, you know, sometimes right up on the flat, and then sometimes on the wind blown edge. So I'll come out and I'll kind of scan the whole area, because the fish can move day to day, hour to hour, you know, kind of based on the wind and what the bait fish are doing. So don't get stuck on any specific depth, you know, go ahead and scan for fish before you fish for them.
Next up, Donnie's gonna talk a little bit about Jig Color, but spoiler alert, I was digging around in his boxes and he is a big fan of parakeet.
I guess what I actually like to do is start every day. I start each customer with a different jig color. So if you have, say you have multiple people in your boat, that's a nice fish. Let's scoop inside me there, Charlie. If you have multiple people in your boat, a lot of days I'll start with a couple different jig colors, and it's real easy then to determine if one jig color is out producing the others. Like if Brenda keeps getting whacked on sunrise tungstens, you know, then I might change another person in the boat. Oh, she's doing a full spread for us.
Beauty.
Yeah, gorgeous fish. We'll get her put back.
So I did sneak a peek in your box. It looked like you had a couple colors you've been maybe using a little more than others.
What? Yeah, I don't necessarily know the names of them all, but this lime green fella, Charlie, what's the official name of it? Are you sure?
That's parakeet.
Which one has blue in it?
Parrot.
Parrot. You see, I'm not an ornithologist, so I don't know the difference between birds. But this one and parrot and parakeet traditionally have both been real good on Rainy here for me and some other bodies of water. So best advice is to buy a bunch of different colors, try them all out, spread them out within your boat, and if one's out producing the others, switch everybody up, keep catching fish.
You're more of an orthodontist, I think.
More of an orthodontist.
All right, next up, Donnie's gonna put another nice walleye in the boat, but he's also gonna share a quick tip that'll help you catch more fish than your buddies on your next fishing trip.
I can feel that fluorocarbon sliding over teeth. You feel that gunk, 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 gunk. And that walleye turns her head. You can actually feel the fluorocarbon sliding across her teeth. I think that's gonna be a pretty good fish.
Oh, that's a really nice one, Donnie.
Yeah,
that's a really big one.
That's all right, isn't it? We'll take those.
What?
It'd be nice if I had a net, man. There we go, I got her. No, oh God, she's back out.
Oh no.
Just pandemonium. No worries, Charlie, I got it. That's a Rainy Lake sled there. So I'm gonna give you a piece of advice here. When you're scanning and scanning and scanning and scanning, you finally mark a nice pot of fish, it is crucial to be the first guy down. My bait, I mean, it didn't even get to the bottom and got absolutely smushed. These guys were still messing around. They don't understand the crucial factor of being the first presentation to go across those fish. Bam! Big girl on. We might as well move. That's the only one we're gonna get.
This next tip from Donnie will be super helpful for those of you who have a fishing buddy who's a little slow on the net.
All right, so the proper way to actually hoist a fish, let's say you're doubled up or tripled up and nobody can get to the net. The last thing you want to do with any rod is reach out here and put a fulcrum on that blank where it's not engineered to have one. Rod's not designed to fulcrum there. So if you are gonna hoist, I reel up, I lay the back of this rod against my forearm and just lift straight up, right to your hand. That way you're not putting any undue stress on the rod blank where it's not meant to have stress. The rod is meant to bend. It's not meant to bend in an odd spot.
All right, let's wrap this video up with one last big golden walleye from Rainy Lake.
What do you got there?
Well, I don't know, carpal tunnel if this thing keeps pulling the way it does. Boy, it's just a brick. Goodness.
It's just going wherever it wants.
Yeah, there's no stopping it. I'm really gonna take a chance with the big fish pirouette.
So Donnie, what do you like about fishing on Rainy Lake?
I like that I can get to pretty low pressured areas. I mean, we've been out here 6-7 hours today. We've seen one other boat. You know, I like the fact that a variety of presentations can and do work. I like that a lot of times if we see fish on the live scope, you know, we can, if you can put a bait in front of them, a lot of times they eat. Oh geez, that's a giant.
What about like the size quality of the fish?
Well,
You like
there are times I wish we had a little bit bigger fish to choose from. You know, our fish are so long and skinny, it looks like they don't ever eat. You know, it's kind of a sad state of affairs, how small, how puny they are, you know, and see-through and stuff. I will say I do believe we have some of the biggest, healthiest walleyes around. The forage base here is just incredible. Pliers. Mine are up on the front there if you want to grab mine up on the right there. Dude, that's a sled. That's a heavy walleye. And we've caught quite a few of these today, so.
All right, that's about all we got for you in this video. Special thanks to Donnie for sharing a bunch of good tips and putting a bunch of nice walleyes in front of the camera as well. And if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below, because we have a lot more content coming here in the near future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.